Y'all going to LMA? Yeah. Yeah. I wasn't gonna get I'll check the city office. Fixed up. Hey. Yep.
Yeah, because you're still trying to get used to it.
But I'm not a handler. Not all the way.
Mayor's here.
How you doing,
It's true. You know how it works. No,
Byron.
Hey, Tom. Good. How you doing? Yeah.
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
Hey, Winona. Is there someone asleep or are they all on call? Okay, I need him to come upstairs and just come sit on the bench inside of council meeting. All right? Thank you. How we doing, sir?
All right, so how you doing? Good.
He could be going anywhere in January if I get in there. Yes, he does that.
Clint. Byron. Tori needs you.
I just gave it to her. Oh. Yeah, the other one's in the ignition already. We ain't nothing on the agenda.
One of them. You have to hit it.
I'd like to know.
It is what it is. Ms. Sharon? Please do a pledge of allegiance for us, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. George, would you do an invocation for us, please?
Father God, we just come to you tonight, and we just want to thank you for waking us up. We thank you for the plans that the city of Crowley are doing on tonight. We ask that you just shower down your love. We ask that you shower down your peace on all your people, Lord God. We ask that you just come into this room right now and let every decision that is made on tonight and every other night align with your agenda and your will for our life, Lord God. We thank you for everything. We love you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you. I know for a few years I've been saying Madam Clerk, but I'm going to say Mr. Clerk. Would you please do roll call?
Alderman Jeff Cavell.
Here.
Alderman Brad Poole.
Here.
Alderman Clay Prater.
Here.
Alderman Lyle Fogelman.
Here.
Alderman Vernon Martin.
Here.
Alderman Stephen Primo.
Here.
Alderman Sammy Reddy.
Here.
Alderwoman Kim Stringfellow.
Here.
Alderman Byron Wilbridge.
Here.
Thank you. Approval of the minutes, committee meeting held on June 8th, that should be council meeting. Offered, second, offered by Mr. Martin, seconded by Mr. Woodward. Discussion?
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I have a few corrections.
On the council meeting,
On the agenda, on the minutes of the council meeting, yes.
on the minutes of the committee.
Council.
Okay, go ahead.
Under public safety, proper name should be Sharon's Grill and not Gill.
Okay.
And then under revenue and finance, the motion was to consider acceptance of the audit report. I'm sorry, the agenda was to consider, however, the actual motion, read and approved by the council was simply to acknowledge that council members had received, acknowledged receipt of the audit and that it was submitted to the state auditor. It was not, the motion was not to accept the audit by the council.
Okay. So moved.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Got, just to add on to what, Brad just brought up. Is it possible for us to get a copy of that discussion to make sure that what you just said, that it's not to accept?
Yes, it's on the live feed.
I do understand that, but I think that each council member here, because I had someone asked me about it, y'all done passed the budget already? So we hadn't even considered the budget yet. So that word, consider.
Not about this budget, it's about the audit. The audit report is all they.
Well, I'm sorry, well, the budget, but still, that's part of the audit. I mean, we have to go through the audit to maintain and whatever deliver for the budget. But the fact of the matter is, words are being put out there without council knowledge, and it's one and that was a question about the budget. Because remember, we had something on the agenda for the budget, but it was taken off. Am I correct in committee, was it taken off?
In reference to his, Mr. Martin, in reference to his statement, he is talking about the audit report, not the budget.
Well, I just want to pin on that as well.
So I'd like to get a motion that we correct minutes.
I move that we correct the minutes,
Oh, you have a question? You have a question?
If you want to make a motion.
Seconded by Mr. Crater. Discussion. Go ahead, Mr. Bell.
Yes, what was printed in the agenda was one thing, what was stated as a motion was a second. I'm entitled to make a motion as chair of the Revenue Finance Committee, and actually, in my motion, I was specific as to the state statute that I specifically stated what was in the state statute. The board does not approve the audit. The board just accepts or shows, agrees that they have accepted it and that it's open to the public. I'm paraphrasing because I don't have it in front of me as to the exact verbiage. But the statute, and this legal will be able to qualify this, is you never approved the audit. You've already, it's like filing your tax return. You've already presented your papers to the auditor. It's just the fact that you have received what the audit findings are now. Am I correct, Mr. Ray?
Mr. Ray?
Mr. Bell, you and Mr. Brad are correct. That the amendment that was made by Brad is the correct amendment. That's what the statute says. Except that you just acknowledged that you received a report of what the past activity in your budget showed. You're accepting that, acknowledging that you handed a document. You're not disagreeing. You're not agreeing with it. All you're saying is you've got it in receipt now. It's public information.
Mayor, if I
Yes.
I've got a verbatim motion to me, which is different than what's on the agenda. I'm happy to state that.
And I agree, that's exactly what should be said.
Yes. Mayor, I would like to move that the Board of Aldermen, City of Crowley, Louisiana, acknowledge receipt of the city financial audit for the fiscal year ending August 31, 2021, as prepared for and received by the Louisiana State Auditor, and that said financial papers are available for public inspection in compliance with Louisiana Revised Statute 33-463. And that motion was passed and approved by the council.
Thank you.
It should be reflected in the minutes.
You got it. Thank you, sir. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. All right. Next is our mayor's report. Sales tax short. You know, last month, I was working hard to try to get this information to you, and time to provide, I finally got some information, and we combined both of them into this report. So this is the actual latest. And as you can tell, we're on track. We're on track, and we'd like to thank all of the visitors and people who live here, who patronize our businesses. We thank you very much. Next is our sewer user fee. Our sewer user fee, we're a little bit ahead of last year, like this month. And it's like we're getting there. Next is our budget analysis. And we are pretty much on track. The score is where it should be, about 83%, and where we should be in expenditures. We are good down, which is good news.
Mayor,
Yes, sir?
can I ask that we receive this information before we appear here for council meetings? It's kind of hard to review, these numbers without having that, presented to us,
Okay, I'll look for
for
it.
it.
And it's just a report. It's just a report.
Yes.
I'll do what I can to get it to you.
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. All right, next, we'll move right into standing committee reports. Public Works Committee, Mr. Crater?
Thank you, Mayor. The Public Works Committee convened Wednesday, July 6, 2022 at 4 p.m. in the council chambers and the quorum was present. Under action items, a motion was offered by myself and seconded by Alderman Vernon Martin to approve partial payment estimate number 2 to Glenn Leger Construction LLC for the citywide street improvements contract B project in the amount of $1,518,376.48. That motion carried, and I so move.
Second.
Offered by Mr. Crater, seconded by Mr. Bell. Discussion? Ms. Stringfellow?
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Mayor, have you spoken to anyone with Glenn Leger and the cleanup that they do after they repair the streets and everything? I know I sent you some concerns on that.
Which I responded to.
Yeah, but are they aware, or is there a timeline? Because I think I'd asked before, and there's a timeline, of maybe 4 to 5 days.
That's what we were told, when they adhere to that week to week, month, it's, I don't know, if there's a particular pile of asphalt that has been there for too long, just call me and I'll get it in.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Under non-action items, the council discussed getting an update regarding gaining access to the new computer system. We also discussed the replacement of the curb and gutter system in Beauvoir subdivision. Mr. Albert John, the Public Works Director, delivered a monthly report. Street Commissioner Gilbert Ozine delivered a monthly update. And Mr. John Hanks made a comment on the city cutting grass. There was no further business to come before the Public Works Committee, and the committee recessed.
Thank you, Mr. Crater. Next is Mrs. Martin, Utility.
Thank you, Mayor. Utility Committee convened Wednesday, July 5th, 2020 at 4 p.m. The council chambers, the quorum was present. On the action item, a motion was offered by myself and seconded by Alderman Sammy Reggie III to approve partial payment estimate number 1 to NCMC LLC CDBG fiscal year 2020-2021 for the citywide sewer system repair project in the amount of $69,693.48. Motion carried, and I so move.
Offered by Mr. Martin. Seconded by Mr. Reggie. Discussion?
Yeah, Tim, just a question, man. Tim, that's, at committee, we had spoke about the smoking. Did you get a chance to talk to someone, as far as how it would be handled if, let's say, some property is being, have a sewer leak? Okay, how would we go about, addressing that?
We're doing all the smoke testing at this time.
Right.
Toward the end of the contract, and it's a 12-month contract, toward the end of the contract, when we will go to the homes that have exhibited smoke in the yard, which reveals a breach in their sewer system on the private side, we will approach that property owner. And it doesn't have to be owner occupied. If the owner is of a low moderate income staff, then that fix can be done at no charge to the owner with this federal money.
Okay.
And all that's gonna happen near the end, probably the last 2 or 3 months of the contract. So we're looking at probably April, May of next year that we will begin to approach the property owners who have smoke testing and then reveal the problem on their plumbing in their yard.
Right. Okay, with that being said, those of you who have real property out there, if you have people that live in your real property, and when the smoke test is done, if they're deemed to be a problem with the sewage, it's still at no cost to the homeowner nor the landlord, as long as you meet the criteria of low to moderate income. Okay? Those of you who is above the income level, well, that's something right there that you have to take over with your local plumber on that. But anyway, just want to make it clear that whether it's a rental property or a homeowner, as long as they meet the criteria, it's at no cost to them to have that sewer line repaired. So ladies and gentlemen, if you see a problem, don't be afraid to call, and they'll come knocking to your door as stated. Okay? Just want to make sure. Whether you own the property or not, it doesn't matter. You meet the income level, you can be helped. Thank you, Tim.
Good question. Yes.
Mr. Bader, what would be the timeline required for compliance? For instance, if the homeowner is notified, or property owner is notified of the leak, how long will they have to have it remediated?
The two things going to be going on. The one that Steph's talking about is the grant program, and we're only going to be dealing with owners who agree to allow us on the property to fix the leak. That's not necessarily a given, because that owner, not the occupant, has to reveal all of his financials. Many owners are not willing to do that. So if there is a leak that needs to be fixed and the owner does not agree to fix it, then that's going to be handled in a different channel. That's going to be handled through code to go through a process of notifying that owner he has to fix it and giving him so much time to fix it. And that's all by ordinance. I don't know the timing, but it's in the ordinance.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no further discussion. We have a motion offered by Mr. Martin, seconded by Mr. Reggie. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Under another action item, wastewater superintendent Tim Crater. Oh, sorry. You hurt, you know, but. All right, we'll let you know. Under another action item, wastewater superintendent Tim Crater gave a monthly wastewater report. He also stated that he is short staffing and is attempting to hire. So if anybody out there want to work for wastewater, go put it in the application. They're missing a few people. I don't know if he filled it yet, but that's where we are. And also, Tim presented the monthly engineer's report, and there being no further business coming before the utility, the committee recess.
I'd like also for the council to recognize their agenda. You may be reading your committee reports, but there's also going to be some things on the agenda that is not on the committee report. Recreation Committee, Mr. Clint Crater, Mr. Primo, Mr. Clint Crater filled in for you.
Thank you, Mayor. Recreation Committee convened on Wednesday, July 6, 2022 in the council chambers. A quorum was present. Under action items, we have to co-sponsorship with ETA Kappa Chapter of Beta Sigma Phi for Miss Merry Christmas Pageant. Dates of event are November 15th, 2022 and November 16th, 2022 for the practice and actual event respectively. The practice and event will require both sides of the Rice Festival building, and this did not go to committee, and I so move.
Offered by Ms. Primo, seconded by Ms. Stringfellow. Discussion? Mr. Bevan.
This is an annual event, only stopped once by COVID, and I have to announce that I will have to abstain from the vote.
Okay. Make it, Mr. Clerk, make it noted that he will abstain. Mr. Primo?
I will also have to abstain. My wife is in that sorority.
Okay. Also make it noted that Mr. Primo has to abstain.
I'll set forth the motion. Mayor, I'll set forth the motion.
Thank you. And the motion is changed and then he set forth by Mrs. Bolton. So the offer is originally Mr. Bolton and seconded by Ms. Stringfellow. Okay, discussion? Anybody else abstaining? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Under non-action items, Recreation Director Peter Kirsch was absent. He was on vacation. Mayor Tim Mosso presented the monthly Recreation Department report. City Engineer Tim Mader presented the monthly engineer's report. There was no further business to come before the committee, and the committee recessed.
Thank you. Next is zoning and annexation, Mr. Fogelman.
Thank you, Mayor. The Zoning and Annexation Committee convened on July 6th, 4 p.m. A quorum was present. Under action items, I'd like to make a motion to table the first item that deals with the potential placement of a tower on Mill Street. I received some very unexpected and new news this morning from Glauco. I think there is a likely possibility that there's 3 main, possibly 4 water lines that are running under that property. And in discussing it further, that plant's been there since 1921. And thinking this through, if in fact there are any rights-of-ways that are filed with record, we were part of St. Landry Parish at the time, so all that would be in Opelousas, and then that courthouse burned down a number of years later, so we don't know what we have. I'm absolutely not opposed to the tower, but I just think we need to look into this particular location a little further, so I sent forth a motion to table.
Second.
Okay, Stephen?
Yes.
Okay. The motion was offered by Stephen, table, I'm sorry.
Lau.
The motion was offered by Lau, seconded by Stephen. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You don't have a discussion on the table? Okay.
Is it appropriate for me to ask a question at this point?
No, sir, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Apologize.
Table for the next one.
Under action items, a motion was offered by Samuel Reggie III, Alderman Reggie III, and seconded by Alderwoman Kim Stringfellow for the acceptance of the dedication of West 17th Street and renaming West 17th Street Extension and authorizing the necessary patching and asphaltic concrete overlay of the dedicated road to be included in the existing citywide street improvement contract B, contract with Glenn Leger Construction LLC. The motion carried, and I so move.
Second.
Okay. Offered by Mr. Fogelman, seconded by Ms. Stringfellow. Discussion? Yes, sir.
I guess Mr. Mayor already left. Do you know how much more is it going to cost to pay?
The estimate is in the neighborhood of about $40,000 to $50,000.
It's on
$54,400.
it's on the res, it's on.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Yes.
does that $54,000 include any engineering or legal costs?
That is not part of it. I know that is, and what I do anything of it, too. And I can confirm it. Construction.
Where there's construction, construction and engineering.
And I guess other question, that I would assume that the homeowner, the property owners along multiple segments of the street realize that once that becomes a public street, that if the development to the west occurs, that would be a through street and not a dead end street as it is now.
We discussed that with them. They're aware of that. I explained that to them in 2 meetings we had in the mayor's conference, in the city's conference, city hall, with the representative group. That this, and one of the things they asked about to come with the goal is that the city do that in exchange for getting them dedicated that street, making it public street. I have explained to them that the owner may or may not change the property to the west, and that the street could go all the way to the end of their property, but then now exist, or any portion of it sold or any developed in the town. It's possible.
Mr. Craig?
Yes, Mr. Mayor's not here, but I would assume that he's looked at the drainage and everything before we do this overlay and everything's okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
One more quick.
Yes,
The
sir.
funding for this is not from the bids that were approved, contract D&B. This would be additional funding from bond money.
change order, it's a change order.
It's a change order.
But the additional amount would be part of that bond funding.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's included, all that's included in the motion, and the ordinance pays the bonds, includes the authority. Change order is and vision contract, sure.
But again, this is something you approve.
Right, but it's all done.
Okay, thank you.
No further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Thank you.
The next item, which did not go to committee, there was a resolution that was offered by the mayor and the board of aldermen of the city of Crowley, Acadia Parish, Louisiana, introducing a proposed ordinance and calling for a public hearing concerning the sale of immovable property at North Avenue C and Front Street, being the old Cajun Bag building. I would set forth the motion that we do in fact entertain this.
Second.
Offered by Mr. Bowman, seconded by Mr. Clement. Discussion?
Since this is public property and disposed of, we look for public use.
We just have to get through this process first.
Yes.
Okay, so again, it's just a set date for the public hearing. And it's in your packet. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Under non-action items, the city engineer, Tim Nader, presented the monthly engineer's report, and Alderman Vernon Martin requested a copy of mobile home ordinance and further discussion on matter in future meetings. There was no further business to come before zoning and annexation, so the committee recessed.
Thank you, sir. Public safety, Mr. Ford.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor,
We already recessed. What you got?
well, you just read that we were supposed to discuss it at a future meeting about the mobile home ordinance. You're supposed to have something for me tonight.
I don't recall that, no, sir. But he already recessed.
No, well, I understand about recess, but still, the matter, we're still kicking the can down the road with
Well,
this.
that's your opinion, Mr. Martin. I'm going to have to ask you, please, to refer, okay? Thank you. Public safety, Mr. Ford.
Thank you, Mayor. The Public Safety Committee will meet Wednesday, July 6, 2020, at 4 p.m. in the council chambers, and all is present. On the action items, they're not a committee, however, we do have an action item, which is a resolution of the mayor and board of aldermen of the city of Crowley, Acadia Parish, Louisiana, introducing an amendment to the ordinance for four-way stop signs at the four corners of Lincoln Park. And I support.
Second.
Offered by Mr. Ford, seconded by Ms. Stringfellow. Discussion?
Yes, just to note that we do have a copy of the resolution and the notice of proposed adoption ordinance and public hearing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I appreciate Mr. Reagan for expediting that process.
No discussion? Again, just to set a date, and it's in your packet as well. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you.
Under non-action items, the chairman brought to discussion the inclusion of four-way stop signs at the corners of Lincoln Park. Chief of Police Judy Broussard presented the monthly police department report. Fire Chief Louis Romero presented his monthly fire department report. The chairman gave the code enforcement report. The city inspector Tony Duval was absent. There was no further action to come before the Public Safety Committee, and the committee recessed.
Thank you. Next is public buildings, Mr. Woolridge.
First business committee convened Wednesday, July 2022 at 4 p.m. in the council chambers. There was a quorum present. On the action item, Chairman Williams has excused himself from any vote or motion regarding the assist agency. And I so move.
That's fine. And if you would like to have Mr. Crater offer a motion.
Mr. Green.
A motion was offered by myself and seconded by Alderman Kim Stringfellow to consider a resolution for the assist agency to renew the lease contract. I so move.
By Mr. Crater. Second. Seconded by Mr. Core. Discussion?
Where are we with getting everybody moved out of that enterprise center? I know this, we started this last year, about talking about getting everybody out of the enterprise center because there's problems there. And we kind of voted
We
on it.
have those leases.
Yeah, for the lease.
Yes, we have those leases, and then we had voted on the leases. And then now these leases are back up.
Right, but I know since last year, we were supposed to kind of look to see if we could move maybe somewhere else, because we're looking at maybe doing something with that property.
Well, with the storms, of course, we had to get the building repaired. And we did that. Now the leases are back up again. So I'm asking for y'all's vote on this evening. It's a motion that's offered. Mr. Bell.
Well, before you go to Bill,
Oh,
I have.
sorry, I'm sorry,
Thank you.
sorry, Mr. Martin. Mr. Martin.
First, every year we come to this conclusion with the rules of the building. Okay, every year. Every year that a assist comes up, myself, I abstain from voting, and now that we have another council member, he has relatives that's working here, he abstains. But every year discussion comes up about raising the rent. Okay, that ain't gonna happen. If you're gonna raise the rent, make the place feasible to whatever you decide to go to the next level of the rent. That building is in deplorable condition. Okay, you got situations, I'm speaking from the assist agency side. Okay, I haven't been out to the building in a few years, I don't know what's going on in one place or the other. But we talk about emptying out the building and doing all this other stuff. We don't have no place for, to put anybody. We're talking about buying buildings, and every time we get to it, it's always a can that's kicked down the road. But yet, everybody objects to the fact that everything is going up, utilities and all this other stuff. But the bottom line is, you get what you pay for. Okay? And you get paid for what you present. So I would like to make a motion that instead of every year, that we bring up the possibility of renewing the lease for the agency, that we make everything retroactive and that if something happens, okay, if something happens, God forbid, and the building gets to a point where it cannot be repaired or what have you, that this city start now to start looking for some type of replacement building. Don't y'all agree? Trying to be proactive with this. Because if something happened to that building right now, they have no place to go. Okay, and they provide services to everybody. I worked there for many years and I know what we do. Now, Mr. Crowley, with all due respect, at our last committee meeting, we had a discussion. It wasn't an argument, it was a discussion. Okay? I understand that utilities and everything is going up. I understand that. But I have to ask the question, what have we done to that building to enhance that building? That had needs to be done, not one thing. Y'all been to the building, y'all seen the building. I don't have to be telling y'all see the building. So before we get into this about putting people out or what have you, to closing the building, because there's a lot of scuttlebutt out there that we're about to condemn the building. I don't know if you heard that or not, but that's the scuttlebutt that's out there. And the first person, the first thing that presents itself is where the people gonna go. Now, I don't know how many residents we have over it, but I know the assist agency is the biggest. And they've been that way. You know, like I mentioned at committee, when that building was first designed, that building was designed to fit the mold of the assist agency. Okay? Every office there was designed. We took part in the design. So I just want to say, I understand that there's still what's going around, and Councilman Reggie, with all due respect, let's find a building that would be comparable to them at the rate, hopefully at the rate of pay that's there, because the state has a top limit on what they pay for square footage. I don't care who you are. We move to the Taj Mahal, or we move to the Nizam. the state only pays so much per square footage. And I would hate to lose a business, an organization like the assist agency, because of what it does to the community and for the community. So I think that since we're looking at the fact that it's costing more to keep the building going than what we're making, sometimes the sacrifice is needed to make sure that everybody's satisfied in the community. Okay? Because if they move from Crowley, that's going to be one of the worst things that could ever happen to the city. So I just want to put that on note. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment, Mr. Martin, but there's a motion on the floor already and a second. And it's for a motion that was offered by Mr. Prater and seconded by Mr. Cord to consider the resolution for the assist agency to renew their lease contract. So you can't offer another motion.
I didn't offer
However,
another motion.
yes, sir, you said you wanted to make a motion, but I'm just saying that it's already on the floor. But however, the Division of Administration of the State of Louisiana has charge of that, and you are correct. But I'll give Mr. Reagan a little opportunity to discuss that.
Mr. Martin, you are absolutely correct. And the reason you can't make the other motion is because this process is essentially controlled by the state. But all the other states, like Japan, I concur with those. That's absolutely correct. Even further, there's an obligation that building is built to fulfill. The state, nobody rents anything from the state unless they can make a profit. These levels, for these type of businesses that you see there, are not only controlled by the state's maximum square footage rental rate, they're also controlled by what the assist agency is entitled to have some assistance from the city. We're supposed to provide access to the community for these kinds of services. And that building was built and acquired primarily for that purpose. You know, and also it's been a business incubator when we can. We've used it to establish businesses here. We had lost all means of low-cost transportation to the public. This building helped establish a new taxi service here in the Acadia. We've got mobile vans because of what was done through that building, having people come in here and test in the market to see if there was enough that they could sustain their operations. I think we have at least two other agencies now, and many of the nursing homes now have gone into their business because they can see this property. This building has served the purpose over these years and contributed mightily to this community. And it's a historic building on top of that. This building is one of the last existing original rice mill facilities and bag factory, converted to a bag factory. But that's where that building was built for. So it's one of your few remaining, it's in the historic district. The center of the historic district is in another motion coming up tonight. You're going to see it being expanded to the west. Parks and Avenue is the center of the city's historic district. You know, I don't know what more can say. I hope that everyone understands this building represents a whole lot more. Not only that, but it serves the people who can least afford it and can least go elsewhere to get those kinds of services. It's in the center of town, basically.
My main quote was the fact that let's quit talking about raising rent. That's my main objective right here. Okay, every year
with the Division of Administration is going to approve.
But I'm just saying, you know, every year that we bring up their lease, it's always a talk about raising rent. Y'all been on this council for years, and every time, am I correct in saying every time it's brought up, we talk about raising rent? Yes,
There's no suggestion to raise rent tonight.
Well, I'm just saying. You know, when
It's
that
not
committee
part of
was, that committee was. Want to make that clear.
It was not tonight.
Well, it was that committee.
Well, that was last
Okay,
week.
all right.
Well, it's
Order, please. Order, please. Mr. Cabell.
Correct. At the committee, there was no mention of raising rent.
Yes.
What was mentioned was the mere fact of what the costs to the city were and what the revenues from the agency received. You made the determination on your own accord. I made that statement clear before I made the point, gave those two facts and figures. So whatever you inferred was what you determined to be. There was
Why bring it up?
For the record, there was
Why bring it up?
Order, please.
The reason it's brought up is the same reason we have to renew it every year. If it's just gonna be a rubber stamp, why even bring anything up to this meeting if we're not to discuss it? So I feel obligated to bring up the facts regarding the nature of the lease.
You brought up the fact stating that we were losing money. It's what you brought
Mr.
up.
Martin.
You remember that.
Mr. Martin, order please. If you'd like to be recognized, please raise your hand.
I'll raise my hand.
Thank you. Mr. Martin.
You brought up the fact that we were losing money. Correct? How do you recoup loss of income? Yeah, thank you. How do you recoup loss of income? Okay, thank you. I'm finished with it. If you don't raise the rent, how do you recoup? Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion. No further discussion. Ms. Springfellow?
Thank you, Mayor. I just would like to add that possibly we could look into a grant. We had a grant opportunity for that building at one time. We could revisit that sometime in the future.
Okay. No further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
On the non-action items, there was a discussion of the issue of the lack of handicap sidewalks / doors at the police station. Discussion was brought up to the new construction bathrooms at the MLK Center. There was no further business to come before the public building committee, so we recessed.
Thank you, sir. Insurance and personnel, Ms. Stringfellow?
Thank you, Mayor. The Insurance and Personnel Committee convened Wednesday, July 6th. There were no action items, nor were there any non-action items, and we recessed.
Thank you, ma'am. Community and Economic Development, Mr. Reggie?
Thank you. Community and Economic Development Committee convened Wednesday, July 6, 2022, 4 p.m. in the council chambers. A quorum was present. During the committee, there were no action items. But tonight, I have a resolution of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen of the City of Crowley, Acadia Parish, Louisiana, in support of an application for the extension of the agricultural district. And I so move.
Second. Offered by Mr. Reggie, seconded by Mr. Martin. Discussion?
You want to elaborate on that?
Mr. Fogelman?
Where is the cultural district? I'm not certain that I understand exactly what that is.
So Crowley has 3 different districts. We have the Historic District, Main Street District, and Cultural District. Basically, the Cultural District is probably Parkerson Avenue from almost the interstate to South Crowley, probably about 3 or 4 blocks either side of Parkerson, because a lot of things culturally happen. So what they're proposing is they want to extend the Cultural District. They're going to go along West 2nd Street to Western, and all the way up to 8th Street, and suck it into the rest of the Cultural District. That's current now.
Mr. Craig?
So would the proposed tower be in the cultural district?
No, sir. It's in the Historic District.
Or is it in the historic?
Yeah, some of these boundaries are gonna overlap some things.
Yes. Some of them are, and then again, the Cultural District, and it's in your packet. You can read it where it does overlap in the resolution that's being brought forward. And it will tell you that it's 2 blocks east, 2 blocks west, going north and south, and then over 5 blocks one direction and 6 blocks going north. So that's where the extension of the west side cultural district. And thank you, Sammy, for bringing that up and trying to get this done quickly. So this is a great move for Crowley.
Mayor?
Yes, sir, Mr. Martin.
I just want to reiterate what that means for our district. Some of the old buildings that we have, our churches and some of the historical buildings that we have in West Crowley, well, now they'll be able to, correct me if I'm wrong, Reggie, from what you told me, be able to apply for grants
Yes. Yes, sir.
to try and update the buildings. So we know there's houses in our district that's probably over 100 years old. Okay? Now it's time to replenish as much as we can. But the good thing about it is this is free money. You apply for it. I'm not sure what the protocol for it is, but anyway, but the fact of the matter is that now we're able to show off some of the unique culture in West Crowley. Just want to make sure.
And just, yes, that is correct, and just to let everyone know, in that district, there is going to be an application process. And of course, this will not just happen in 1 week. It will take some time. It has to be registered to the state and actually to the federal government. Am I correct, Ms. Green?
That's correct, it does take some time. And I'd also like to point out, in the bottom of the first page, right there with that last, that preamble, last page paragraph, preambles precise within the boundaries of the state certified cultural district. This will be recognized that several tax incentives may be available, including the sales tax exemption on sales of certain original works of art, income tax credit for eligible expenses incurred during the rehabilitation, owner-occupied residential, owner-occupied mixed-use structures, and incoming corporate franchise credits for eligible expenses incurred during the rehabilitation of certain historic structures. All that is included, by designating this area as a cultural district, and you recognize that in this book.
Mr. McCullough?
Thank you, Mayor. Is there any way we could get things like this ahead of time so we can look over them properly?
I just got it.
Okay, and also, does the Main Street Director, does she have maps of these?
Yes, that's why I'm telling you, it's going to take some time. Once it gets registered, then there will be an official map that we'll be able to distribute.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Came up with very short notice. I didn't deliver this until this afternoon. And that's why Brent, I got it, I was a little bit disruptive, I was trying to get everything done for this meeting. I apologize. I told you, if you chance, I'll appreciate it.
Yes, that's why we were trying to insert that in committee, that he is really overwhelmed with a lot of business.
And it just further overwhelming. We have several documents
Yes.
to review here.
Absolutely.
Get here without reviewing them before we
Okay. Yes. All right. Offered by Mr. Sammy Reddy, seconded by Mr. Martin. No further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Under non-action items, I gave a tourism director's report on upcoming events. Ms. Jill Habits gave a report for Crowley Main Street due to the normal director being out for maternity leave. The report was given for Crowley Garden Club. Due to them being out for the summer, they will be back in September. There is a ribbon cutting for Thrive Physical Therapy, which will be held July 18th at 1 p.m. And there was no further business to come before Community and Economic Development Committee, and the committee recessed.
Thank you, sir. Next is Revenue and Finance, Mr. Cabell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Revenue and Finance Committee convened on Wednesday, July 6, 2022 at 4 p.m. in the council chambers. The quorum was present. Under action items, number 1, to consider a resolution of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen of the City of Crowley, Katy Parish, Louisiana, fixing a date for public hearing to be held to consider the adoption of the annual budget for fiscal year 2023 and authorizing publication of notice of a public hearing and availability of the proposed annual budget for fiscal year 2023, and I so move.
Offered by Mr. Cabell, seconded by Mr. Reddy. Discussion? And again, this is just a 7-day for a public hearing.
Mayor,
Oh, sorry.
yeah, that's the question.
When will we get the budget to review?
This is the summary that you're getting right now, and you're going to get a packet hopefully Friday, hopefully the earliest Friday, but at the latest Monday.
So we'll get the actual
The
budget.
actual packet, yes, sir. The big packet.
Real budget.
Well, they're all real, but it's big.
I don't know what this is. I ain't gonna get it.
I'm sorry. A detail, yes, a detail. This is just a summary budget. Okay? And the letter, the budget message is included.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
in that, we asked, well, I've been asking for a minute. When you present your budget, is there any way we can get the salaries of,
That will be coming.
say what?
That will be coming.
Not just salaries, more names, our names. Is there any way we can find out who's making what at City Hall? Last budget, it was numbers. Such and such, and also a job description. because it keys off to what we talked about in committee. Okay? I think this council needs to know why, check into it. Man, it's as simple as putting it and letting us know who's making what. You got a fixed number on each department head or whatever job title. Because I don't know who's all working in City Hall. Okay, I know some of the positions, but God forbid if something happens to someone and there's a job opening. We discussed last winter, if y'all remember, advertising. Okay? Listen, so you know I'm telling you the truth. We discussed that. You said you would check with Tom to find out how would we go about doing it. I think we have to be proactive in the fact that we're using city money. So every citizen should have a chance to apply for a job.
Absolutely, we cannot deter that in any way.
Well, I'm not saying deter, I said let's do it. Can you look at
We are.
Yeah, I haven't seen the advertising. Have anybody seen any advertising for any of this? Well, got the clerk, well, I'm not starting this out. But anyway, the bottom line is, the people have the right to know where the money's going. It's not presented another way.
The people do have a right, and they do get the copy where the money is going.
We want to know who the money's going to. Every time we got to check the company.
I know that. I know that. Exactly. No. So anyway. Yes, sir, Mr. Bell.
The date affixed to this public hearing, would it be August 3rd?
August 10th.
August 10th?
Yes,
Next
sir.
regular council meeting?
Yes, sir. Yes. Now, wait, the very first one is going to be July 26th. The very first public hearing is going to be July 26th, and that is also in the packet.
We're setting both dates.
We set both dates in there. They're both there. July 26th is the very first one that we have to offer. And then it's going to be a special meeting following that, that particular public hearing. And then we will set a date at that point for August 10th for the second one, which is required.
Set right now, setting both.
Setting both dates.
Setting both tonight.
Yeah.
Introducing the ordinance and setting both tonight.
Yes, sir.
Sometime on the 26th,
6 p.m.
special.
Yes, sir. And again, this is the second date.
In the same process you've gone through, you've had 2 public hearings.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Item number 2, under action items, to consider a resolution of the mayor and board of aldermen of the city of Crowley, Caga Parish, Louisiana, fixing and levying the millage on the 2022 tax roll, and I so move.
Second.
Offered by Mr. Cabell, offered by Mr. Cabell, seconded by Mr. Primo. Discussion? Ms. Ringo?
Thank you, Mayor. Can you just explain for the audience what, just briefly, what this is?
It's a tax roll, it's their villages for their property taxes that have not changed, and we are just rolling it over. Yes. And that's what we're doing, adopting the previous bill. Yes.
Okay, so do we ever discuss decreasing the amounts?
Say again?
Do we ever discuss decreasing the amounts?
Decreasing?
Necessities of that information, you have to do it. It's a rollback or roll forward procedure.
No further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
There were no non-action items and no other business coming for the Revenue Finance Committee. The committee then recessed.
All right, Mr. Mayor had to leave early this evening, and I think he got all the business squared away. So I ask for adjournment. A motion, please.
So not gonna act if there's anything else to come before the council.
Offered by Mr. Cord, seconded by Mr. Cabell. Meeting adjourned.
But he don't wanna get on that, that's what he need to worry about, but he worried about, shielding and all that.